It's the Yoba series.
Step 4, training, strength, and mental well-being. So one thing that I found quite early on when I probably didn't realize that I was a person who suffered with anger as kind of a constant state of being. One thing I did find is that I really enjoyed my fitness. And it was a great release for me. You know, when you're carrying around your own personal problems up here in your mind, you need some way to be able to alleviate yourself. You need a form of relief. And that relief for me, thankfully, started with running, and then it went to sort of more athleticism. And then it kind of turned into work in the gym. And I think initially it was something where to run or to cycle or to swim was just a way to be able to get out of my head, focus on something. And that focus was so narrow and so small and so sort of niche in a way that it would be very intense for like long bouts of time. Like sometimes I'd run for way over an hour with ease. And like I say, it then eventually formed itself into the gym. And I think that's because I suffered with anorexia. And I got too thin, basically. And so when I started to repair and recover from that issue that I had, I started to want to lift weights because I wanted to be a little bit bigger. I'd lost a lot of muscle mass and I was a very, very skinny individual indeed. But when I got into the gym, you know, I found that my well-being was much, much better. I felt like I was in a much safer place, and that, you know, okay, yeah, there are very, very occasionally some people that, you know, might look at you in a certain way, but that doesn't really exist in gyms. I believe most people are kind of more conscious of being looked at by other people, and those people are conscious that they're being looked at by them. I think that most of the time when you're in a gym environment, it very much is a personal thing. And I think that's why when people do train in gyms and they kind of understand why they enjoy it themselves personally, because some people obviously can't stand being in a gym, they can't stand being amongst other sort of sweaty individuals and things like that. I think it's because it's definitely a mecca for the individual to focus on themselves purely at that time. And so with that emotion that I'm carrying around, it gave me a sort of never-ending, unquenched thirst for training, just wanting to train as much as I possibly could. And I was probably training 6, maybe even 7 times a week. And again, you know, something that becomes addictive, and take it to the sort of furthest level I possibly can. And maybe that is a reflection of a characteristic that is either I've been born with it, or that I've learned it from my father. But to that degree, I feel that training for strength definitely had a very, very positive effect on my mental well-being. And I would always encourage anybody who is suffering with anxiety, frustration, and especially depression, that you find a way to get active. You find a way to get out into either fresh air, you get out to possibly socialize with other people, meet other people. And I also feel that being active is definitely the way forward for your brain. You know, we are creatures that should move. And I think that if you're in that dark spot, even if you find a way that you can just possibly move or motivate yourself, even if it was for 15 minutes, even if it meant just going out and just getting a little bit of light, a little bit of fresh air, it would make a massive difference to your overall well-being, and possibly will start a trend with you where you start to do that on a more frequent basis and feel better with every turn that you give that activity. So I've started my training and I've started going to the gym. I'm probably also going for running as well. And what happens kind of quite quickly is I start to change my diet. And in the long term, I actually start to change my diet for the better. So once I started training and I started going to the gym, I then found that quite quickly I changed the way that I ate. And in the long term, that had a really positive effect for me. The other thing that I probably didn't notice as a side effect of training was this ability to be able to feel calmer. When I came away from the gym, when I came away from, having a training session, I felt a lot more equilibrium. I felt much calmer. I felt much more at peace with myself and mentally clear. And that the problems or the issues or the emotions that I was currently having weren't as swelling. They weren't as overwhelming. And that felt fantastic. And I can see why, it is addictive, because it's something that you're like, wow, this exercise thing can really help me resolve a lot of my problems and a lot of my issues. If you found that eating better and training has definitely helped you and helped you in your times where you have needed clarification, calmness, and a decent headspace, please feel free to add a comment in the comment section below. I would love to be able to read your stories. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and also that little bell to remind you whenever a new video is available.
It's the Yo Bossy Wish.